Over 4 days, like 15, which isn't too bad. That's my plan. It's like...
It's just you doing the same thing for 4 days in a row.
Yeah, it's a bit of shit.
There's no like...
No.
I'll sit at the computer today and just rest, and then I'll be in the gym talking to people all day.
Which I do like, to breaking it up, but I feel like if I can get up, I'll take a session in the morning and then I'll have like 5 hours of check-ins. Do you know what I mean? Like 15 is kind of like...
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like 5-ish hours.
Yeah, if you're quick.
Yeah,
and if you stay quick. Across those days.
And if you have slow days, you have quick days. But like maybe let's say it's 6 hours. I say 2 hours per 5 group. That's like me done. Do you know what I mean? Like train home like 6 o'clock till 3 o'clock or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is better than what it is now.
Smaller days to at least like, I don't know, if you get up and start at 8 and it's just not working and you're like, I'll come back to this at 12.
5, yeah.
Like I'll take 3 hours and...
The only problem that I have is like if I go away to compete or something like that, like there's nowhere to put anyone.
Yeah.
Like there's nowhere to shuffle. You know, there's a shuffle room.
Yeah, I wanted to change mine the Tuesday, Thursday to like Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get bigger time on the other side. Yeah.
It'll be 2 really fucking big days because I've got like 45-ish people. But
that's fucking 2 big days.
Huh?
That's big days, yeah.
Yeah, but if I could do that Wednesday, Thursday and I'm away somewhere, I could fly out Thursday night.
No worries. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it ever.
And I was like, if I flew anywhere, if I just fucking went on a holiday for a week, like I could leave Thursday night and then I'm like, I've got Friday all the way through to like Tuesday.
Yeah.
If my programs are done, nothing.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, for the next 2 days, I'm not moving.
Yeah.
And then...
bang it out. I do like that. Does sound good. Maybe I'll get rid of Fridays and just do 3 days. Wait, I do that already? That's shit. Golly. All right, let's do it. Welcome to the Strongman Seat. We'll just keep all that in.
Make a nice intro.
Yeah, the inner workings of a online coach, trying to figure out what's going to be best. Welcome to the Strongman Say, another episode. This is, by the time this comes out, we're a little bit behind, but that's okay. We've just convinced Leigh to quit his job and do a bit more work for us, so we'll have him out more frequently. Yeah, congratulations, Leigh. Well done.
Yeah. So as long as we've got work, Louie's got work.
Yeah, as long as we've got work, Louie's got work. Yeah. We've had a bit on this weekend. Not a heap compared to last podcast, which will be out shortly. We had the Cumbrian on the weekend, and Chris Ego Lifts, who admittedly hadn't really heard of too much, took out the 105 world record. So big congratulations to Chris at the Cumbrian. Big shout out to one of our favourite lifters. I feel like he's one of our favourites. I don't know if it's one of your favourites. Favourite character. He's just a really fucking nice. He's just a really nice guy, I think. And he's just a very lateral thinker. And he's been around forever. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it was like India he was at competing and stuff when I was there. He's just been around forever, but like has really risen in the ranks of like coaching and athlete probably in the last couple of years. Do you know what I mean? Like he's kind of like the guy in the trenches and everyone goes, where did that guy come from? And you're like, well, he's been doing it for a long time, just not very good. Well, not as good. But Josh Lancaster came second, which is huge in that lineup.
In 105s.
In the 105s as a 90.
Who I think still has the Instagram handle of Josh Lancaster under 80 kilos. I don't know if he's updated it.
Maybe because
he wasn't under 80 for a really long time.
Yeah, very much so. And he's a pretty big under 90 too. Like, you know what? Like, he's not a small guy. So for an under 80, like...
He was a small guy. Because he's tall.
Yeah, he's tall. That's what I mean. Like, to be an under 80, like, that's... Because he looks like a big guy now.
Yeah.
He's my height, I reckon.
Yeah.
So he's a big guy.
Yeah, he could keep filling out and stay as a 105
Very
type
much
of thing.
So, yeah.
He has to cut a fair...
Well, he cuts weight to 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he spent most of his under 80s career
in a sauna.
in a sauna. No, just trying to find cheat codes.
Yeah.
Because he just didn't have the muscle mass or the size because obviously he's tall, he's an under 80, he's very lanky. And then now going to 90s actually got heavier and put on size, and then that's a good combination.
Yeah.
If you start the sport and you're not very strong, but you're smart enough to try to figure out how to beat stronger people, then eventually when you do get strong, you kind of have the best of both worlds.
I've kind of talked about this with some of my heavyweights.
just being big, dumb, strong
lately. Yeah.
And not thinking about stuff.
I sort of said like, just remember, like, we have the advantage, you have the advantage of being genetically gifted, right? And this goes for probably a lot of us, like including ourselves, do you know what I mean? Like, but like I find like the heavy guys, like stone extensions, monster dumbbells, things like that, they tend to get lazy.
Yep.
Like the extensions are shit. Like the monster dumbbells, like a press, not like a catch, you know? And I go, it's good to be fucking strong. It's nice to be really, like, it's nice to be able to get away with that.
Yep.
But if you can be dumb strong and then also move like a lightweight strongman, like take some of the things, you won't be able to do everything, but take some of the things that those lightweight strongmen are doing and implement that into how you're moving and leveraging weights, that'll pay big dividends.
That's probably the big difference between that intermediate level where there's just heaps of big, strong guys, and then the pro level and the level above where the big, strong guys actually move really well on top.
Most.
Yeah.
Some are just exceptionally big, dumb, strong guys.
Yeah. If you're extra strong, you never have to learn.
But like you look at like a Novikov, for example, who's like a light heavyweight, who just moves
one of the
exceptionally
lighter and the shorter side of things.
But moves exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Like that's someone using his size and weight very effectively.
Yeah. If you're all equally as strong, but one of the big guys moves well, then like you lose.
Yes, correct. Maris Kravalis. Do you remember him? The guy who won Cumbrian?
No.
Luke was very excited to have him over. He is actually probably one of the best 105s I've ever seen at work.
Yep.
And I always talk about this as a 105 who had aspirations of winning a world title, or winning like OSG or like Ultimate Strongman, and turn like a proper world title.
As opposed to?
SCL world title. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
SCL was the OG.
SCL was the OG, but when I won it, it wasn't the title. Do you know what I mean? I'm still proud to have won it. Like I still like, you know, it was still good to have that title, but it's not like, even Ultimate Strongman now, like from my most recent experience versus my first experience, I was blown away the first time I went there. Do you know what I mean? The first time I did Ultimate Strongman, when Ultimate Strongman was in his prime, I was blown away. Like that, like the standard of competition, the crowd, the show, it was fantastic. And then, you know, my Germany experience was, it's still a great competition. The standard was still reasonable, but not quite the same deal. Do you know what I mean? Versus OSG. Anyway, Maris Kravalis was the winner of Ultimate Strongman the first year that I went over there in the Ukraine, and is probably one of the best 105s that I've seen at work. And I often talk about the realization that you have when you start going to these world competitions, that every time I've been there, the person who's won has been a league apart, not just ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Maris Kravalis was just on a different level and playing a different game to the other 30 guys there. You know, Anthony Furman, when I went to OSG and was on that podium, like I was third on that podium, but we were doing different things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like we were playing strongman at a different level. And I often see that, like Andrew Clayton, another example, winning all the events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you go to a day and you win, it's not to like fucking, but like when I competed at middleweight series, it's like, we're not competing against each other. You know, I'm doing this thing and I do that here, but going overseas, like every time I've done a world comp, I go, fuck.
Someone's doing that to you.
There's I can't close that gap. Every time I rock up, it's not like, like that's just within reach. I'm like, there's something else that I'm not. Do you know what I mean? Maris Kravalis is that to many, I think. Like he is just quick, he moves well, he's strong as fuck, he plays the game well, he's got good strongman IQ. So if you haven't heard of him, and you won't, because you go on Instagram, you'll see fuck all, but that kid is a fucking weapon. He's probably not a kid anymore.
I was going to say kid. A 40-year-old kid.
He might be, bro. He's from Latvia, so he's probably 8.
Winning world titles at 12,
Anyway, so that was the Cumbrian on the weekend. Question that I had for you under that banner. UK comps versus the US comps, because, you know, Josh came second there. Maris Kravalis is very fucking good. You had Marchuski there, Premislav Marchuski, who's very, very good. So a few really good European guys for those who keep up with the 105 scene. but very few US guys, and definitely not the best US guys.
Yep.
When Chaos runs a competition, and there's a Chaos Classic, which this was essentially Chaos Classic 105 at Cumbrian.
Yep.
When Chaos runs a comp, those 90 kilo guys fucking flock.
Yeah.
All of you go to that comp, right? What's the difference?
To actually get everyone there.
Well, like there was good prize money.
Yeah.
Like the US guys, like those US 105s did not bother going.
Yeah.
For the most part, right? Like the best guys in the US didn't go. Like I would even say maybe the best guys outside of that maybe didn't go either. Do you know what I mean? Like some of the European guys and stuff probably didn't end up going, which I found interesting. But
I mean, there's guys in the UK. There's like I don't know if McKeegan still competes or
yeah,
like Tom Owens.
Well, McKeegan,
I
yeah,
think
definitely.
Tom Owens
did
it.
Yeah.
So there's like a number of guys that didn't do that show as
Like
well.
I don't know whether it was just too close to OSG. The guys who were having a crack at that, or Europe's is coming up maybe.
They also had like the official Strongman Islands or something. And like
that was McKeegan.
Yeah, but that like dropped out. They like dropped the men's classes because they didn't have like enough of a turnout as well.
Interesting.
And then they've got Chaos England's coming up. So I don't know if there's just so many options now that
they're diluting the competitive pool.
Yeah, and it's post OSG as well. So maybe it's just like a scramble at the moment.
Yeah, which we talked about with Australia when there was 2 qualifiers in every state, and we said it wasn't working.
We had that, and then sort of like the middleweight series.
Yeah, and then there was a series.
Well.
So and we sort of said this isn't working. It's diluting the competitive pool.
Yep.
We need to put people against each other. And I think the one qualifier works a lot better.
Yeah, I think the 90s internationally, everyone is for the most part quite close and somewhat friends.
Yeah.
Looking at the 105s, especially like OSG or like that top group of 105s, I don't know if they talk to each other.
Yeah,
much.
maybe not. It's very, but it's also fluxes more. Do you know what I mean? Like it swings. Yeah, it's swinging a lot more. I think. I also think as 105s, generally we have just the same problem: too much opportunity.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's comps all the fucking time for 105s.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a core group in the same sense. Whereas I think since the last like 2 years, maybe a bit more, it's the same 90s.
Yeah.
At Chaos, at Ultimates, at OSG, at any comp really. Like, I think the Arnold Pro-Am was a case of like when I left OSG, like Derek's yelled out to Tyler and was like,
"See you at the Pro-Am.
You doing Arnold's? Or are you doing America's Strongest this year?" And he's like, "Oh, you're going to do it?" And it's like, "Yeah. Okay, I'll do it." Because they want to compete with each other.
Yeah.
So, like, the 105s did that in Australia and still do.
Yeah.
We had the first round 1 middleweight series here at Geelong.
Yeah, everyone was keen. Everyone came down for this.
We basically had the middleweight finals. We had like 14 105s.
I agree, yeah. It was great.
Because one of them went, "Well, I'm going to do it." And they're like, "Fuck, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it."
Yeah.
No one ducked each other.
Yeah.
So I think internationally, the 90s are kind of like that. It's if you know that some of those guys turn up, you're like, "Well, I want to beat you, so I'm going to travel for it."
I still think, because the middleweight series was a good concept, just like didn't get the traction it needed to. It just needed to be the 105 series. You could run a 105 series, but no other class could do that.
Yeah. Because they're happy to compete against each other.
100%. As well as that, this weekend we had Sam Sulik's bodybuilding debut.
Yeah, he seems so pleased with that.
Yeah, but that's Louis' contribution to the podcast today. I'm a bit of a like closet. I don't watch too much YouTube, to be fair, but I do watch. I have watched a little bit of Sam Sulik because I just generally like his like temperament and fucking. I just want to be big and jacked, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
like that's why people love him, right?
Yeah, he's relatable.
Yeah, relatable.
He's the quiet guy in the gym.
Yeah,
but looks how everyone wants to look.
Yeah, and also is just like unabashed in his fucking like, look at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that fascination of getting bigger and just seeing your body develop, and like not being shy, being like in the mirror at the gym, or like being like, you know, like conservative with it, being like, "Whoa, bruh, look at this pump," you know? Like, I think most of us like feel like that. Like, you know, when you get a pump and you're like, fuck, mate, like this is good. Like I feel jacked. But most of us are just kind of a bit more reserved about it now. Like, you don't want to be the dickheads just like, check out my fucking sick pump. But
what if you had one every day though?
Sick pump.
If that was just your training?
Oh, that's just like
I watch those videos.
Yeah.
And like I watch their training videos and I'm like, God, that looks good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to walk in.
I have seriously considered doing this
just
at
go
the
to
back
the
end
hack
of this
squat.
year. Yeah, just like
That's my hard thing of the day.
just like 12, 16 weeks of pure hypertrophy where my joints feel good, the training is consistent. Do you know what I mean? Like as relative, like it's not going to have the swings like the peaks and the troughs like a strength like peak does.
I don't mean hypertrophy as in like when strongmen go, I'm going to do hypertrophy for 6 weeks, but I'm still going to squat, deadlift.
No.
And then I'm just going to fluff accessories.
I'm going to do dumbbell press. I'm going to do machine press.
No, but like I want to just obliterate myself on those accessories, like train them properly,
hard.
like squeeze the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And just walk out like swollen and done. Like when I used to do that, I remember like hopping in the car and I couldn't drive home because like I couldn't pick up my arm
that's what
to get
training
the steering
was.
wheel. I couldn't hit the accelerator because my calf was like blown out. And
But you've also got all these endorphins where you're like, fuck, that was sick. Where now it's like the opposite. You leave, it's like
joints hurt.
Yeah, my joints hurt. Like I limp, my hips fucked, and I'm tired as fuck. Because there's no endorphins, just central nervous system fatigue.
Yeah.
Like fuck.
So like I miss and romanticize that.
Yeah,
massively.
100%. I agree. I came home from my heavy squat the other week and I was saying this to Jazz. I was like, once upon a time, I'd do like a heavy squat and like a lower body session. I was here for like 2.5 hours. And I'd come home and like lie on the couch, maybe order some pizza and like watch some Netflix. I said, I had to do races in the hallway and then I had to do somersaults across the hallway. Like, I was like, oh my God, Lord. Do you want to go to bed? Do you want to watch a movie? Disney?
Do you want to go do heavy squats for 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
You'll tire him out.
No. I was like, it's actually probably good active recovery. The next thing on the agenda for Australian strongman is the lightweight series first.
Yep, Toowoomba.
Toowoomba's coming up.
Do not miss that shed.
No, I'm so glad.
I mean, like, it's a great venue.
And
it's a great crowd.
Yeah, I know, but the travel for that is also just horrendous
like,
too.
Toowoomba itself, hot. Showgrounds with a whole bunch of meat getting cooked and horses and like flies and just then in a little shed in the corner with no
the
breeze.
The greenest lights.
You know what? Until they...
Yeah, the light and like the backdrop and how it looks on the live stream. I remember watching the live stream back being like...
Yeah.
That's not what it looks like in there. Because it has that like green tinge to it.
Yeah. The videos
and
do,
it looks
don't
way darker too.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm absolutely more than happy not to take any more lightweight lifters until they move that competition away from Toowoomba. Like I've got one doing it, and I'm not flying up. And
I'm still on the fence about going up.
You gonna go up?
I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Fair enough. You just said that.
I'm stuck there.
Dumb fuck. Yeah. I'm stuck there, which means I'm not going. Do you have
means
competing?
I'm probably just two in the 64s.
Yep. Yeah, 64s, of course.
So
yes.
Very much on the fence about it. I'm just hoping that I'll forget what date it is, and eventually the time will lapse where I'm like, oh, it's too late. I can't book my tickets now.
Yeah, it's for me. It's not even location of like the me stock. It's just the travel. It's just a pain in the ass.
It's the flight to Brisbane.
Yeah,
and then the commute to Toowoomba, and then the accommodation, and the commute back to Brisbane, and then the flight.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's just a like. I get it. Me stock's a great coupling, but fuck, they put them in bad. Like Sydney's fine, Olympic Park's all right, but like Bendigo for people flying in.
Bendigo for the Queenslanders is the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just
flying to
painful.
Melbourne, trek out.
You know. Anyway, at least we've got trains though. You can catch a train out to Bendigo pretty comfortably. But I guess then what do you do when you get out there? Walk to the fucking meat stock. You know.
Hang out in Bendigo.
Hire a car. It's just expensive to do. You know. Anyway, winners for 64, Cam.
I think so.
Undoubtedly.
Yep.
Then the 80s is a little bit more spicy. I mean, cute for Cam and Carl to maybe take it out as long as Carl's healthy. I mean, he's one of the best 80s athletes that the country's ever produced, if not the best, right? But obviously, it's always like a little bit up in the air whether he's coming in. I mean, he's always performs well, but sometimes it's like, I can't deadlift today. You know, like it's problematic. So, Carl, but then you've got Alec and Muzz. Also, I mean, Alec is Carl's protege in the 80s anyway, I believe. Is that correct, Luke? Yeah. What do you reckon, sir? You're the 80s king, right?
Oh, God. I reckon, like you said, if Carl's healthy, he will be pretty unbeatable, but if he's healthy, is a bit of a coin toss. Alec is very strong. I've competed with him a couple times now, and that being said, he did post on his story the other day that he's over 90 kilos now, so he's going to have a bit of a rough weight.
God, it sucks to be an under 80.
Yeah.
All the under 80s are like over 90 kilos.
Yeah, it's like it's above 10% right now.
I've literally eaten into every comp, and I'm watching these guys like water cut, and I'm like, I'm 70 kilos. But same as Mars.
And I'm getting not on the podium.
How are they so much stronger than me?
I don't understand.
But yeah, Mars as well. He's a strong boy.
Yeah, and I like the way he goes about things, to be honest. I just love his temperament. I'm a big Muzz fan.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for people that haven't been in the sport for that long or like sort of post-COVID got into the sport, would see him come in and be like, oh, who's that?
Yeah.
But he has done
Long
a
time.
lot of comps.
Yeah,
and he's been
yeah.
around a lot. He's done a lot
Yeah.
of New Souths. He's done the Arnolds. Like he's done a few overseas comps.
I'm not too sure.
At least one.
Yeah.
In my head for some reason, I think that
He came and then he
so
went
he's,
away
like,
and then he's just
composed.
come back. Yeah.
knows how to compete.
He's just also
is, like,
chill. I'm a huge fan. I just love the way he goes about it.
He's the person that just walks out from like a farm somewhere,
Yeah.
does his lifts.
Yep.
goes
Love
home.
it. And he's strong
So,
as fuck.
He'll do well. Jimmy, I think, will do well.
Yeah.
as well.
You
He's
said
got
Jimmy
some really-
Poke was one of your clients previously as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, coached him up to the qualifier last year for it, and then
Yep.
he's just been doing his own thing
Yeah,
pretty much
cool.
since then. But yeah, he'll have a lot of strong events. He moves quick, very, very quick. So like the
And probably just
wheelbarrow
more
thing and
consistent.
stuff.
You know, like consistent across the board.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
the fact that it's not just Carl v one person
Yeah.
means that if he is injured or if there are things where he loses
Yeah.
a couple of points, he loses a
There's a lot
couple
more
extra
to lose. Yeah.
points.
There's a lot more to lose on the table as
Yeah,
well.
when there's only two of you back and forth, you can bomb an event
Yep.
and you're still only 1 point behind the next person.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
And there's a few other guys in the 80s that I reckon will still steal points in certain events too, you know? Like,
there's, I think more than 10 are
Yeah.
registered for it,
Yeah.
which is
Aaron's a good mix as well. Like he moves
Yeah,
well,
Aaron- yeah,
good down
Aaron's
the
great.
stones.
I mean, gosh, like Matt Ryan's got a 130 behind the neck push press. It's disgusting, but he can push press. He like grinds it out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a few guys in there that are that have got reasonable lifts in there that will definitely be swinging points a little bit, which will be interesting as well. It should be very interesting. What do you reckon the guys are going to hit on that behind the neck push press, like Monster Dumbbell in the 80s, those overhead events?
Monster Dumbbell, it's hard because obviously Smitty has the record at like 100.
Yeah, sure.
Which no one's getting close to that, I don't
Yeah.
think. I reckon it'll probably start to push 90.
Yep. Yeah, that's great.
Behind the neck press, I know I saw Carl put up 130, I think.
Yep.
If you're saying Matt's put up 130 as well. So
Yeah, but like Carl's split jack, I'm baffled because Matt push presses it
yeah.
Yeah.
behind the neck. Like compared to like split jack, I'm like, it's
Matt looks like he push presses.
yeah,
though.
it's strict
Yeah.
press, bro. It's like a strict behind the neck press.
No, I mean you just look at him as a human
Yeah.
and go, "You're not split jerking. You're
No.
push pressing."
but I feel like 140 would be a
yeah,
cool number too.
yeah, top number. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I reckon that'll be right up there. Yeah, interesting. I think that is going to be fun. And then because we probably won't have one before the middleweight series, the middleweight series will be the next one after that because they're pretty close together.
Yeah,
and this
one
is,
weekend.
And bear with us because this is the time where we get quite busy also. It's like, yeah, we love doing the podcast, but we'll have lightweight series, middleweight series. We've got Bell in the Bay. We've got Pro Raw. I've got like Beauty and the Beast. I don't know. I've got like 50 competing in the next 3 weeks, like months.
Yeah.
I'm traveling. We've got like Natty's coming up as well. We'll be traveling around a fair bit. So there's a lot of
well,
weekend
that's
stuff
what,
and
May.
yeah.
And
So
then
over
ASM.
this next 3 months, there's a lot of like traveling
ASM's
back
there
and
as well.
forth and yeah. So it gets pretty quiet. It gets pretty wild on our front because it's basically our top, like our peak season. This is it. This is our go
This is
time.
the finale
Yeah. For like
of last year, like
I always
the grand
say,
final.
yeah, like February is like at the downtime, like the calm before the storm.
Yeah,
and then
January, Feb.
The next 3 months, Jasmine just goes like, see ya in a couple months. 73. So Cam is doing 64s and 73s. It would be remiss of us to not put Cam as number one in the 73s, I think.
Yeah, the
Can't
73s
really
have
give me.
lost a couple of like top contenders from
Yep.
last year, so it is a little bit thinner.
Yeah. Who are the top contenders from last year that you think that aren't there?
Well, I can't remember. Carol came second, Charlie came third,
Yep.
Jess Nish came fourth.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, so quite a stacked group there.
Yep.
That's a good lineup of girls, actually.
Yeah, so that was like the main three that had gone, and they were like in top positions.
Yeah.
So that kind of opens it up for.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder why they're not doing it.
Or just multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own reason.
Other stuff, yeah.
Essentially.
A few did like OSG, like Carl did OSG and stuff. And
Yeah, I think Carol just needed more of a break. Jess has just got a lot of life stuff at the moment, and like her body's not.
Like 100%.
It's one of those things where you get to a point in a prep where if you don't do the comp and you stop doing it, by the time the comp comes around, you go,
You're
God,
good.
I feel good.
Yeah,
I
I
should have done
it.
that. But if you
Keep pushing it.
if you push hard into it,
Yeah.
there's a good chance that something breaks. And then Charlie got like surgery on her nose.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she's not lifting anything right now.
82s, podium, number one. Who are you picking for the top?
Did we podium for 73s?
I didn't do podium. I just did number one because if you're not first, you're last.
But you want to do podium for 82s?
No, who's up the top of the podium?
Oh, who's at the top of the podium?
Yeah.
Sarah, Liz, Genty, and Jolene, maybe?
Yep.
Jolene Simone.
Yeah.
That's probably the top five I can see, like, sort of breaking away from the rest.
Yep.
Which I think, as the events go on, that top five will start to, like, fracture again as well, probably.
That'll be an interesting 82s.
Probably into a top two.
Yeah. Top two? Or, like, if you can't pick a one, who's your top two?
Top two would probably be Sarah, Liz, would be
Yeah, I
my
think it's
call.
going to be a fucking great battle.
Liz edged out Genty at Vix, so assuming across more events, Genty's also very strong, but very new.
But also has been training for it now a little bit longer too.
Yeah.
As well. And good events for her in general. Like for someone coming into the sport, a little bit newer, some good events from a power athlete transitioning, you know, versus like a statically strict. Do you know what I mean? Like she's coming from weightlifting background. It's going to be like a power based. She's a power speed based athlete.
Yep.
I feel like they're kind events for someone transitioning over. For the most part.
Yeah, there'll be a few things interesting, like dumbbell and how that transitions.
Yep.
It's only her and Na, and it was only because Bryce pointed it out when I spoke to him the other day. Because Na did the same thing. They're the only two I've seen that split jerk a monster dumbbell with their opposite leg forward to their arm.
Yep.
Which obviously doesn't stack well through your hip, and you end up like rotating and twisting. So
interesting.
Yeah, I see that, and I'm like, okay, it works when it's light. How will
when it's heavy?
Yeah. So there'll be a few up in the air things in terms of like their numbers. I think like 60 kilos on dumbbell is going to be like the
I
top,
feel like it's
top range.
I agree. Yeah. It's going to be interesting though because it's heavy, but it's not heavy comparatively to what she could stick. Do you know what I mean? Like it's heavy, but it's also not 120, 130.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I think there's like relative strength for like a lighter female to like a heavier male or whatever. Like there's relative strength, but then there's just gravity.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you could probably get away with splitting and not being perfect with like a 60 comparative like to 130 if the split isn't the ideal position. Maybe there's a little bit more leeway there because it's just in general a lighter dumbbell. Do you know what I mean? Liz, Sarah, splitting hairs. I would find it very hard to pick one. Back Sarah. I got her.
Yeah, I think across those events and like consistently, like I think at the end of day one, it'll probably look like 4 people are in the mix.
Yeah, it'll be so tough. Like the day one, day two thing. People, one thing I think it's really good for like athletes going into these middleweight series and 2-day comps to remember. If you do not have a good day one, you can still win the comp.
Yeah,
I've seen this all the time. People go, fuck, I'm in 4th or 5th. Like I've really dropped the ball on this first day. Like there's a whole nother comp to go the next day. Do you know what I mean? Like it can change so dramatically.
Or the opposite.
Yep.
Yeah, I think knowing which day is yours is really important in terms of like mindset and just mentally expecting where you're going to fall.
Yeah, I think expectation management.
I've seen people be winning after day one and then day two consecutively stressing, being like, I'm losing it.
Yes.
And it's like, it's not that you are losing it, you never had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like across 8 events,
Yeah.
you weren't the favourite to win.
No.
But day one was your fucking day.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obviously you're winning after day one.
Yeah.
So then people stress and be like, I'm screwing up. Yeah, now I'm in third. Now I'm in fourth. And it's like, that's how it was always going to play out.
Which is really hard when you've got clients who you're like trying to manage, because you're just like, well, we know that we need a buffer and we know this is how it's going to play out.
Yep.
And you aren't in contention to win. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people who, and they might be in contention to win, but you also have to know that, like, if you're going to come 15th on a deadlift and you've won every event in the day one, but you lose 15 points, there's your top spot gone.
Yeah. It's the same as if you're in contention to win and you've got a shit monster dumbbell, don't look at the scores after monster dumbbell, because you'll look and go, I'm 12th. There's no way I can come back. And it's like, this is how it was always going to play out.
Yeah.
Like, I think for middleweights and me, day 2 might be the better day for me. Maybe. When I try to objectively look at it, I think
be pretty consistent on both.
Yeah, I think day 1 would probably be my worst day. So I think, like, if I'm sitting in a reasonably good spot on day 1, I think I'll climb.
On day 2, Yep.
Versus the opposite. I think if I'm sitting in a really great spot on day 1, then I'm like, oh, I'm in a really fucking good spot. Whereas, I think knowing that helps you set up which day is your day.
I think definitely. I think that's important. And know where you're going to take the hits and not be too rattled when you do take the hits that you anticipated. Like, it's a funny thing that we do where we expect our worst event sometimes just to go better than what is it completely reasonable for us to expect.
Yeah. I've seen so many people come last on an event and just get rattled and be like, I came last, like I fucked it up. And it's like, you did what you did in training.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, everyone's better at that one thing. And they're like, oh, but I should have done better. And it's like, no, this was kind of how it was
like OSG with that frame carry. It's like, I did better than training on my handles. And we all thought like those smaller handles or thinner handles might be a little bit kinder. But it's like, I didn't get the 10 meters or 20 meters in training.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like 320 was sweet, but like that 340 was always elusive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking heavy. And I was like, oh, well, the smaller handles, but it just, then you don't do it on the comp day. You go, well, I couldn't fucking do it in training, I guess. So what am I going to be too disappointed with, you know?
Yeah.
The 90s, I'm going to call Ant for number 1 here.
Yep.
Just from a consistency standpoint, he's looking pretty good. Like, he's looking strong. He's definitely improved under your tutelage, which is fantastic. And like, no particular order, but I think Dan and Taz and Riley Talbot would probably be the guys who are in the contention there. Dan hasn't had the best prep. He works for Parks Victoria, Parks Western Australia, like whatever.
The other state.
The other state, the other and it's just fire season for him. So he's just been on call and stuff, which is very challenging. Taz is, I feel like Dan and Taz, very different athletes. I feel like you've said this, they'll swing in the other way.
Yep. Probably the opposite in jobs as well. One of them's putting out fires and saving trees. The other one's cutting down trees. But I think if one of them does really well on an event, the other one's probably not going to do so well.
Yep.
And I think, there'll be polar opposites potentially.
And Riley Talbot will be consistent across the board.
Yep.
Yeah. 105s.
Could be so many people.
I like Ben at the top.
Yeah, I think the overheads would be the thing that have him probably lose points, and then everywhere else is pretty well
consistent.
Covered.
Yeah, he's athletic.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'd be, as far as like anyone that's going to finish power stairs across multiple weight classes, he's probably the only person I'd pick to potentially finish it.
I just don't know whether he's strong enough.
No, he's got a good deadlift.
Yeah.
Good deadlift and tall.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm aware.
I feel like that potentially could finish the power stairs.
Stones and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, but the stones for the 105 are too heavy. It's literally a race to the third stone, most likely.
Yeah. James Lation, very strong. Just needs to keep it together on a comp day.
It'll just be the deadlift. He just needs to maintain good points on that lever deadlift. Everything else is pretty well good. Obviously, he just needs to not be a ginger, fiery redhead and lose his shit.
Yeah, just composure. God love him. Charles, I feel, is a hard one to discount. So he's had a few injuries and stuff like that. I'm just going to put it out there and say that the common denominator between strongman and injuries is having kids. Under recovery is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
But Charles has had a few injuries and stuff, but he's very hard to discount. He's been on the podium every year at middleweight series or a title series since he's been around. So I think he's consistent enough. And then, you've got Jaden, you got guys like Bryce, all right up there. Do you know what I mean? Like all probably not winning, but I think doing quite well across the board to pick up points.
Yeah, I think it's close enough that on the right day with the right amount of luck to where you keep good points on your bad events and then you really execute well on your good events, there's the chance for a lot of people to win.
Yeah, which is the same as last year.
You run it 50 times over and you probably get 5 different people winning.
I mean, last year we picked Mitch Budge, and that was pretty the obvious one, and he won.
Yep.
But this year is more exciting. I just feel like it's anybody's game. There's no real standouts. No offense to anybody, but there's no one in that group who stands out as a killer. And then there's Leigh Shaw in there as well. So he'll be in there to mix up points, but also could be on that podium, if not right up there on a good weekend too.
Yeah, if all things fall well, it'll just depend on my bad events as well.
Yes.
If I manage to hold the dead hang for a good amount of time and place well in that.
That's a big point flux one too. Who fucking knows?
If I do well in that, I'm oh, cool, I might be able to run it winning this comp.
Yeah.
But that could also completely take me off the podium.
Yeah.
I come 12th in that. I have no idea.
There's a lot of variables in that competition that I think is interesting. 105's Ant can compete at the world level. Liz, Sarah compete at the world level. Cam obviously is right up there in the world level, Katie and stuff like that. So looking at the middleweight series here, is there anyone that you see that doesn't get eaten alive at the world level in the 105s currently?
As far as making a good crack at top 10 or something like that, there'll always be an event that someone's going to lose a lot of points on.
I just out of curiosity, because I was having this conversation, I was there's no 105s that I think don't get eaten alive if they go try to compete overseas currently.
No,
in every other weight class, I feel like we've got world standard athletes.
Yeah, so OSG last year, Kyle went over, can run a yoke, and stand with the best of them. But then deadlift is losing 50 odd kilos. Bryce can probably, the year before, has his events that can hold his own.
Yeah, for sure.
But then once again, say the deadlift.
Yeah, it's different to being an athlete, competitive,
So there isn't really anyone.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better for the sport to have a class like the 105 right now, where it's kind of anyone's game, and there's not a standout world level athlete, or better for the 64s where Cam's probably going to take it out, but she's also one of the best in the world?
I reckon the 105s as they currently sit now. I think that the look, it's hard because I think that having someone like Cam or a leader in a class is excellent. I think that leader needs to be catchable, and I don't think Cam is.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I think if you've got someone who's world class and competing at that top level, who's going over, or who is leading the class, but who is beatable. Do you know what I mean? I think that's better for the class.
Yep.
But I don't think that having someone like that who's no, it's not saying that Cam isn't beatable. In the 64s, she's probably unbeatable in that group. 73 is beatable, but very hard. But the 105s as they stand now, I think for a period of time, you get good competition where everyone's driving each other to get better and they're all competitive with each other. I think that's good.
Yep.
But I think you still need someone in that group to start pulling away for people to chase.
Yep.
You need someone to chase. If they're all just kind of competitive with each other, it's fine. But in that group, they've all kind of been at it for a little while now. The only real good up and comer would be Kyle. Everyone else has been doing it for a while now.
Do you think that's where the 90s are at now, where Ant is almost pulling away?
Starting to pull away, 100%, and that's perfect.
Yep.
You need someone to pull away that you're competing with them and you've got to chase them. They're the driving force. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the whole reason most of the 90s got as good as they did.
And the 105s and we got good.
Yeah, because we had 8 of us that were great, and then there was 1 or 2. Run was 1, I came 2nd. That was the person to chase. Yeah. Then me and Shane sort of at the top. That's who Nah was up and chasing. then Nah won,
Yeah.
and like Andy came second. He was chasing me, Nah, Shane.
Yeah.
Ram was also still competing. So it went back and forth, and then Nah pulled away, and then we're chasing him.
Yes.
So that, I think the same with the 105s. It brings everyone up from a lower level into a really high level fast.
Yeah.
Because everyone's back and forth, like scrambling for a win.
Yeah.
That eventually someone that is a bit more dedicated or has better genetics will start to pull away.
Pull away. But you need someone to start pulling away.
Eventually they will pull away.
Yeah.
But it's like any goal. If you set a goal too big, too far away, that's unachievable. You don't get to it.
Yeah, I think having like someone too far away is stifling to a. I think I'm completely beatable. Just FYI, very beatable. But like for example, the 105s and the guys for those years that I was doing it, just assuming they were coming second, is stifling. Do you know what I mean? Like they all sort of like say, oh, like, well, who's coming second? Like there's jokes about it, right? Like, which is totally fair, but that's kind of unmotivating as well. Do you know what I mean? 100%. Like there's no reason to try and chase. The only one who was like fucking deadpan chasing was Declan. Like he was steadfast on it. He's like, any event that I can beat him on, I'll fucking take.
But he was catching,
and he was doing so. Yeah, 100%. Right?
That.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
I've said that
I totally agree. And Declan's the only one that I still think could be in that group if you put him back in the mix, and he was like mentally fucking capable of staying on a straight line for long enough. Yeah. He'd be probably world class and definitely take out that title. Still to this day, I believe.
He's back in the gym. I've seen him training, so I hope he sticks at it.
Time will tell.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
I got a big belief. That kid could fucking crush. That kid's like he's got the most potential out of most 105s that I've seen come through.
Yeah, because I've said that to a lot of the newer people, say doing middleweights or international comps, where they're like, "Oh, I don't think I can compete with that group," and it's like, the only way that you can is if you start and you rub shoulders with them and you start believing that you're a part of that
You have
group.
to believe that you're capable of winning.
You need to believe that you're a part of them. If you put a wall between you and go, well, that's them, I'm not there yet, that wall will stay there.
Yeah.
Even if you get stronger, that will keep you apart.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas, I don't think I've ever looked at someone and thought they can't be beaten.
No, like I do that.
Plenty of people beat me all the time, and I still look at the events and go, right, this is where I can make up points, and if they don't do what they need here, I'm like, they can still be beaten.
This is very true, because sometimes he comes away from a comp and he's really shattered, and I go, you were never going to beat that person. I was. The right day, the right events, the right time, the right call. I'm like, yep, okay, fair enough. And that's like the beauty of, like, you have to have that. Do you know what I mean? You have to have that belief that they are beatable, or that you can beat them, or that on the right day you can be on that podium or win. Because if you don't think that you can win, you sort of lose something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you sort of lose that edge.
I look at probably like my perfect day to where, like, even OSG, I'm like, all right, my perfect yoke run wouldn't have won the yoke run.
Yeah.
But it would have come up like 10 to 11 places.
Yes.
Which would have given me those extra points, which would have pitched me into
the finals kind of
thing. The finals, and then if I had the perfect run on stones. Yeah. So, like, I look at it as like my perfect day.
Yeah.
And other people's perfect day.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You're navigating your perfect day with everybody else's perfect day.
Middleweights is the same thing. I look at the events and go, if I have a perfect day, I'm like, I think I can take it out. But I also think there's like 5 other people, if they just have a fucking great weekend, they can also take it out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, which is the fun part about strongman. Like, there's so much flux, you don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't go into a comp. Like, if you want to jump in Queenslands and I want to go do Queenslands at 105s, I'm not going to come second to you. I'm like, yes, we get to compete together.
Finally,
I'm actually going to...
I'll try it real hard now.
I'm going to start eating and weigh 110. Like, I see that as fun. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
How can I tackle this?
Yeah. I totally agree. And it's what Bryce said. He's like, Bryce said in one of his check-ins, like, I know that you like talk shit and like how you has been and how like you're retired and stuff. But you're still the guy to beat. And he's like, so if you do Queenslands, I'm really looking forward to trying to beat you. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, good. He's like, even if I got a yoke, it's like, if I can beat you on yoke, I'll be stoked. Yep. I'm like, that's good. But great. That's the goal, you know? Perception is everything. People believing that things get easier as you get better.
Yeah, there seems to be the assumption that people that move really well and train really well that lift heavy, it all kind of just looks easy. And they're really struggling. So I think they get to a point where they're like, oh, when I get that strong, like it should just kind of relax. And, you know, comps are easy.
It's always effort all the time.
Yes.
I also think this comes down to like people believing that as you're doing it, or if you're a high level athlete, that like just getting to the gym is easy. Just like bring motivation or like fucking like grunt to the sessions is easy. Do you know what I mean? That not doubting yourself is easy. That managing everything else, like your external stresses and stuff, just falls into place because, you know, like this is what you do. It's like, no, it's not. Like it becomes... I actually think it's become more work as I've gotten older. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's actually become harder to be an athlete and juggle everything else. Obviously, because there's different stuff on the plate nowadays. But I definitely think as I've gotten older, it's actually gotten a lot harder to be an athlete and juggle everything else that I'm expected to or am committed to doing. And I think that's like one part of it. But yeah, I definitely see the perception that as you get better at stuff, because your skill gets better and because you move better, people think that it's just easy, where it's like, you have to try really hard to make it look easy, right?
Yeah. It's still really hard inside. It looks easy on the outside. Yeah, and everyone's like, that looked effortless. Yeah. You could have done like an extra 3 reps. I'm like, no, that was it. Yeah. If I tried again, it would have failed. Yeah,
we're talking like, for example, your monster dumbbells, like you hit 105 last week, which is the PR, which PRs, as you get better, this is the other thing. It's like, they're very far and few between.
Yep.
Like a fucking PR is a big win once you've been at this for a while.
It's a big win, but it's so long overdue that it doesn't feel like a win.
You're just like fucking finally.
Great. Where's that been for 3 years? And someone's like, you got a PR. That's great. And I'm like, after 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're like, but it's good. And I'm like, well, it is, because if I didn't have it, it'd be 4 years.
Yeah. I'd still be going at it.
But it's just overdue. I'm like, fuck. So you don't actually really get much out of it at all.
No.
You just hit it and you're like, and I've said that to a few people when they've had like milestone numbers that they've wanted to hit.
Yeah.
And they get really close to it, but they don't quite get there. And then they have another 6 months. So the goal was a 200 kilo deadlift a year ago.
Yeah.
And they get like to 190 and then miss 200. It's been a year. They're way stronger again. It's like you'll hit it, and when you hit it, you'll just be like, oh. And there'll be no, like it was such a big lofty goal then, but so much time has passed. You'll hit it now and just go, oh, that didn't really feel, and it'll be easy.
It might feel good in the moment.
It'll be easy.
Like you'll be stoked at the moment for like 10 seconds, and then it just kind of washes away anyway.
Yeah. The ones that take a lot of time lose sort of the sparkle out of it.
It's 2025. I took my first effort to 400 in 2018.
Yeah, so eventually when you get it, you're just going to be like, oh.
Fucking finally. All right, I can retire properly now.
Finally. And the world record keeps going up.
Yeah, now it's 421.
Whereas when you're new and you jump in a comp and you get a 20 kilo PB.
Yeah. Like, it's the best fucking thing ever, you know?
Yeah, it's 20 kilos. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do this.
Not even that, it's just like continuously going up that little bit where like, you know, if you've been doing this for long enough, it's like, it's up here and it might be 300, you've hit 300 and then you might only be deadlifting 270 or 280 for the next 6 months. You know what I mean? Like you might not hit that 300, then you hit 305. Do you know what I mean? But it's constantly, because it becomes less linear, it's like you still celebrate the wins, but it's not just coming and coming and coming. Do you know what I mean? It's not as predictable as you get up to that top end. So it probably makes those peaks and troughs emotionally less peak and trophy as well, you know?
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you want to get more PBs like that, you just keep going up weight classes.
Yes.
That's the other option.
Or you stop doing strongman.
So you don't get PBs, but you just don't care.
No, when I say stop doing strongman, I mean like if you want to get PBs all the time, like focus in on what you want to get PBs on and train those.
Yeah.
But like if you are going to do 18-inch axle deadlift for a block because it's in your comp, and then you're going to do car deadlift for fucking 12 weeks, and then you're going to do this deadlift, don't expect to hit a fucking deadlift PR.
Yep.
You haven't done a deadlift in 6 months. Do you know what I mean? Like you did axle deadlifts for fucking 6 months. Do you know what I mean? Like your axle deadlift went really well, but you're in a suit. But when you went to raw deadlift, like it felt fucked, right?
Yeah.
because they're different things, right? So because you're feeling, you've got a finite amount of sand, right? I give you a bag of sand to spend. I give you $100 to spend. You got 20 buckets to fill, or you got 3 buckets to fill, right?
Just going to overfill 1 bucket.
Yeah, well, that's your option. You can PB on this 1 bucket, or maybe 2 buckets, and do pretty well on the 3rd bucket. Or you can have some fucking change in 20 buckets. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's strong, man. Like, it just doesn't come... Like, in certain blocks, you're spending more on certain buckets, but over the course of... We zoom in so much and we think about this one block, but over the course of, we zoom out and we look over 2 or 3 years, you absolutely get stronger.
Yeah.
But people need these metrics of like, well, I'm hitting this number and this number and this number to get strong, and it's irrelevant to winning comps, right? It's like, yes, they're good dipsticks to understand where your strength is, but in an event where you've got 8 or 10 events, you might not be, if I want to deadlift, if my best deadlift is 390, but I'm deadlifting 370, 380, so that's probably a good spot for me to be if I'm doing another 6 events that I've got to train for. You know what I mean? Like,
it's close enough.
It's close enough where it's like, what's going to win you more points? Do I put more energy into my deadlift because, I feel like I'm just a little bit weak on my deadlift? Or do I put more energy into the thing that's going to get me an extra 3 points because I'm a little bit behind on that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when you do this for longer and you're doing more stuff, your expectation around the outcomes of those events needs to be adjusted, right? You're trying to get points. You have to play the game, how do you get points? But I've digressed from everything gets easier as you get older. Or
Definitely does not.
Better, yeah.
I think middleweights is a weird comp in the sense that, like, you don't really feel like you're getting strong.
No, it's
everyone that I've spoken to is kind of the same. It's like,
I've had a lot of clients have trouble with this prep just because their expectation is it's like
prep's going really well and they're getting better at everything. But cool, you did 10 kilos heavier on power stairs. And you got an extra few reps. Mm-hmm. That's a PB. That's a rep PB on weight. But it doesn't feel like it because you're just doing power stairs.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't give a shit. Or fingers.
Yeah.
You're getting way better at fingers, but you're like, who cares?
There's less like strength metrics built into the competition where you've got like that measuring stick of how strong am I feeling.
Even the deadlift.
Yeah.
Cool, you're doing a car deadlift.
Yeah, or
how's
a power
it feel?
deadlift. Here feels like
to
a car deadlift.
feel
It's heavy. Yeah. It's very, very challenging.
Yeah, like you do log dead stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that you feel strong.
Yep.
Because you hit a 3 rep max on log in the lead up and it felt good.
And you've got 3 buckets to fill, not 8.
But even if they were still measurements in middleweights, like say like the previous year.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I've got guys not training big heavy stones necessarily because it's just a race to do a couple of stones.
Yes.
No one's finishing in like say the 105s.
No.
So there's nothing for me to really measure. I did behind the neck press at about the same weight that I did when I first sent it.
That's also the same thing. It's like, well, I hit the behind the neck press of the same weight that I first sent it, but it was more reliable. My split was better. Technically, I was more efficient.
Yeah.
Like, that's
improvement. Does that equate to getting heavier? Maybe not.
But maybe. Long term. But, like, you don't have that much long term. Because, you know what? Like, you do it for 10 weeks. Like,
it's also event 6.
Yes.
After power stairs. So all those numbers, it's like, could probably shave off 10 kilos across everyone and go, oh, yeah, you hit a 180.
Yeah.
Probably not hitting that after power stairs.
And probably like behind the neck press, right? Everyone just jumps on the behind the neck press and you forget that people's sport 4 days a week, 5 days a week is that, but 2 lifts. Yep. Like to learn to split jerk properly, to execute the technical elements of that lift. They do it for 4 years.
Yep.
Every day. That's what their drills are revolved around. You know what I mean? Like, if you think that you're going to do it for 10 weeks and think that you got like the prettiest split, or do you know what I mean? Like some people pick it up very easily. Some people are going to battle with that the whole fucking 10 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And probably if it looks a bit better, that's great. That's great improvement. If you did it for another 6 months, you get more out of it. But right now it's just like it's skill acquisition and you might get stronger for it.
Nah, when the events first came out, my prediction was like no one's going to get stronger as a whole.
No.
Prepping for this comp.
No, we said that. We said that early. Like, no one's actually going to get stronger.
Still would stand by that. I think everyone's going to come at the back end of prep kind of as physically strong as a well-rounded athlete as what they
Yeah, I
started.
think there's some benefit. I think it's a great GPP comp.
Yeah, everyone will be fitter. Everyone will be fitter, and everyone will have better shoulder mobility.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting.
But no one's grip's going to improve like if there was heavy farmers.
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of thing. Like, no one's going to get stronger at pressing.
You're not driving the cohort.
No one's going to get stronger at pressing. No one's going to get really stronger through, like, deadlifting.
No.
So, I think it's good as far as anything can happen on the day. It's kind of a sport that's just going to rely on, like, skill and adjustment in the moment.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what a sport
strongman
is.
IQ. Yeah, I agree.
Like, anything could happen within that moment. Anyone could get reps on anywhere, like, say, like the fingals. Like, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
And you could be out first doing it, or you could be out last, depending on the dead hang.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much the people that can figure that out as far as a sport.
Yep.
Know where they need
Who's
to
got
sit.
a good strongman IQ?
Yep.
Or who's got a good coach in their corner to tell them what to do?
Yes.
Makes a big difference.
Most likely the strongest person won't necessarily win.
Yeah. Got to be strategic in these comps. Yeah. But look, I'll just quickly to summarize, because we digressed a lot, but perception that everything gets easier as you get better is definitely not the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, the motivation still lacks, like, managing external stresses still is hard, and like the effort that you have to put in training to, you know what, the effort they have to put into training to move 340, because every time you come in it's fucking heavy, is harder than what it was when it was easier. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're coming in and it's like 5x5 at 200, and now it's like 5x5 at 260. Well, guess what? Like, 260 is fucking harder. Regardless if I'm stronger, the input that I have to put in from an arousal standpoint and like motivation standpoint to get that done is harder.
There's a lot of weeks I come into deadlift and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to come off the floor for one rep. Especially based on warm-ups or just like everything. I'm like, I'll see how it goes. And then I get 6 and I'm like, well, that's nice. And then the next week I come in, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to come off the floor.
I pulled 360 the other week and a 340 triple afterwards. Do you know what I did last week? I pulled 300 for a slow single and then instantly felt like I needed to nap standing upright. It's like, you don't get weaker. You don't get that much weaker in 2 weeks. You get tired.
Yeah.
You know?
You get real tired.
You get real tired. The last thing we're going to talk about, because it's come up in my stories, Louis was sort of asking or talking about it, and we were talking about beforehand, is just loading accessories. So you saw the post that BJ put up with his, like, I think 18 kilo external rotations or something like that. And that's something that I've been on with BJ and I. Well, I would say coaching is a collaboration between us, but I've been on to him about is, like, if you're going to press 240 kilos overhead consistently, like 6 kilo, 8 kilo, 10 kilo fucking like side raises, don't cut it anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that goes for specifically like his back health stuff. Like you see him loading the plate loaded like side hip bridges and like all that like trunk work. It's like, it has to be fucking heavy. Like, we need robustness, right? You can't just cruise to those They're not complementary. They're the building blocks and the base work, right? Thoughts on this? Like, so loading accessories, making sure, like, I feel like people get stuck in like a rut with accessories where they do the stuff, but they've got their weights that they do for a thing.
Yeah. They don't keep trying to progress them.
No. Should be progressive. Right? Especially in particular blocks. Like, maybe if you're doing middleweight series and you're coming to the end of a block, it's like, well, maybe they're tapering back a little bit. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to manage recovery and stuff like that, maybe you're tapering back. But in specific blocks or key periods of time, we should be progressing those accessories and trying to push them up, and then maybe maintaining in those off seasons or peak seasons, sorry.
Yeah, I'll try and keep pushing things and try to get people to push things, but then also movement quality in terms of like isolating that movement isn't quite as important.
Yeah.
Like at the start of the block or in an off season, like doing side raises is really, really strict. Super important. You got to make sure that like the right muscles are doing the job. You don't want added assistance because you also just don't want it to be heavy. Like give your joints a chance to like recover from the last comp.
Yeah.
Then 3 weeks out, if you're swinging a little bit with your side raises, but you've got heavy as fuck dumbbells, but you're controlling it on the way down, but you're like leveraging weight, you're swinging more on a lat pull down.
Yeah.
That's probably going to translate better into ripping shit off the floor. And
the
sport.
It's an interesting one. Do you make it heavier because while it's all coming up, or do you pull it back because the main work's getting heavier? But I guess the argument as well is like, as the intensity comes up, you're dropping off a lot of volume.
Yep.
Right? So you really should be making up some of that volume or the work and maintain like an undercurrent of that like hypertrophy work or like pushing accessories hard because you're not doing a lot at the top end, right?
Yeah, the intensity's still got to be there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing of like a really strict bent over row versus the whole cheat row
thing.
And when to use what.
Yeah.
So you can still progress things if you're going to start throwing things around a little bit more and just focus on moving weight. But yeah, the people come in and do bird dogs and side planks and stuff like that, and it's like and
they've been doing it for 2 years. I've got no problem. I've got no problem with a bird dog and a side plank if it's challenging for you. But if it's not challenging, you've been doing it for 2 years and you haven't progressed it, well, then you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Or especially if it's still challenging. Like,
you come in and get the kettlebell, put it upside down with 6 kilos and do this every single time?
Look, I mean, she won't listen to this, so I think I'm actually pretty safe unless Louis cuts it into a reel. But my lovely wife, I coach her.
Definitely cut it into a reel.
Yeah.
Send it straight to her.
Definitely going to a reel, yeah. I mean, we had a candid conversation where I said she's being lazy with her accessory work and that's why she's not getting stronger. I said, like, you're using the same weight for your lunges, using the same weight in the leg press that you have been doing for 6 months. I said, like, you need to push your back end work. I said, and I said, look, there's things on the top end that need to be addressed. Like, that's 100% for sure. But, like, if you want to get stronger, you need a better base.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not pushing the accessories hard and you left it's been the same for the last 6 months since we got back from Italy. You haven't fucking pushed it. You haven't worked hard enough and you might start going backwards for it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
She went...
Your body gets so efficient at doing the same thing over and over.
You're not doing anything anymore.
Well, no, it becomes less stimulus.
Yes,
it's less work.
100%. Like, you got to push it. You got to progress it. And she...
If I run 5Ks, my body's going to respond well to that. If I run 5Ks... for years and years and years, I'm going to get so good at running 5Ks.
There's no stimulus.
There's less than no stimulus.
Yes.
Now it's become like just general steps.
Yep.
It's not even training. It's like when people go to have a physical job.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, that's your training for the day. It's like, no, I do this 5 days a week.
Yeah.
For years.
Correct.
It's not doing anything good for me anymore.
No. And she,
it's general movement.
She went, yep, you know what? I've been a pussy. It's her words, not mine.
I'm sure that's exactly.
No,
I'm sure that's exactly how the conversation.
I'm pretty sure that's how I did. I swear. And, and she pushed the next couple of weeks, and she's like, "I've had the best workouts I've had for ages." And her numbers started going. Her top end numbers started going up again. You know, like, you've got to progress your accessories. You've got to push your accessories.
I want to go into where the leg press and the hack squat is, and take all the like 5 and 10 kilo plates.
Yeah.
And just get rid of it. I've actually said that to people in the gym with the hack squat.
Is there 5 kilo
I've had someone put a 5 kilo plate.
Yeah.
On
You don't
the hack
notice
squat,
5 kilo.
and I was like, we don't put 5 kilo plates on the hack
You
squat.
don't even notice it. No.
I'm like, no, you jump by plates.
Yeah.
You can put one extra 20 on the side, so it's technically only a 20 kilo jump. But I'm like, only 20s go on that. Same with the sled. I've had people jump weights in sled, and I'm like, 20s go on that, nothing less.
Yeah.
Don't put a 10 on it. And especially, don't put a 5 or a 2.5 on the sled.
2.5 on a sled does not go on
I
a
will
sled.
fucking throw it across the gym. Like, it's 20 kilos or nothing. So either you're just doing the same shit, or put an extra 20 on there.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. There you go. Only plates. Full plates will get the fuck out.
I mean, I don't know why you have 5s and 2.5.
I might throw them all out. Actually, I might finish this podcast and go down and throw out all the 5s. If anyone wants to
throw out all the 10s.
Marketplace, 10s.
All the 10s, all the 15s. The whole gym's just going to have 20 kilo plates.
Only 20s. That's fucking it. I like those 5s sometimes.
The thing is, people are either going to get really broken or get really strong.
Yeah, I'll get broken.
It would force you, though, like, you either deadlift 220 or you deadlift 260. So if you're not feeling 260...
More reps at 220.
But you'll actually probably get really good technique.
Yeah.
And like dial in 220 on the weeks that you're too scared to send 260.
You know what? Like, we didn't have a 180.
It'll force you to do technique or actually put in work.
We had like a 100, 120, 150 stone. Now we've got 10 kilo jumps all the way fucking through.
That's how I learned stones.
I never had a 180 stone when I did my first 180. Do you know what I mean? I did reps and reps at 150 and I was super confident with the 150 stone. We got a 180 stone. I could lift the 180 stone, you know? Like, just do with more with what you got. That is the Strongman Say. Thanks for listening and tuning in. We will see you next time, probably after lightweight series and middleweight series. So good luck. Chill.